Chapter 1: The Gray City. The sun was hiding behind thick gray clouds. In the middle of the big city, thousands of people were walking fast. They were busy. They were looking at their phones. They were thinking about their meetings. But Sam was not like them. Sam was walking slowly. He was not looking at a phone because he did not have one. He was looking at his shoes. His shoes were old. They were brown and had small holes. Sam stopped at the corner of a busy street. He felt a cold drop of rain on his nose. Then another drop. Then many more. It was starting to rain. Sam pulled his thin jacket closer to his body. He was cold. He was also very hungry. For breakfast, he only had a small piece of dry bread. For lunch, he had nothing. He looked at a cafe across the street. He could smell the fresh coffee. He could see people eating warm sandwiches and smiling. Sam sighed. He remembered when he had a job. 2 months ago, he worked in a small bookshop. He loved the smell of books. He loved talking to people about stories. But the bookshop closed. Now, Sam had no money. He had no job. He only had his honesty and his dreams. He started walking again. The rain was getting stronger. His hair was wet. His clothes were heavy with water. He decided to walk through the park to get home faster. His home was a tiny room in a very old building. It was not much, but it was dry. As he walked through the park, he saw a wooden bench under a large oak tree. He decided to sit down for just 1 minute. He was so tired. His legs were shaking. He sat on the bench and closed his eyes. He listened to the sound of the rain hitting the leaves. It sounded like music, a very sad music. Chapter 2: The Discovery. After a few minutes, Sam opened his eyes. He felt a bit better. He stood up to leave, but then he saw something. Under the bench, in the wet grass, there was something dark. He leaned down. He reached out his hand. His fingers touched something cold and smooth. It was a wallet, a very expensive black leather wallet. Sam looked around. The park was empty because of the rain. There was no one near him. He picked up the wallet. It was heavy. He opened it slowly. His heart started to beat very fast. Inside the wallet, there was a thick pile of money. There were many $100 bills. Sam started to count them in his head. 1, 2, 5, 10. There was $5,000 in cash. Sam gasped. He had never seen so much money in his life. $5,000 could change everything. He could pay his rent for many months. He could buy new shoes. He could eat a big hot dinner every night. He could buy a new suit for job interviews. He looked deeper into the wallet. In a small pocket, he found a gold credit card. Then he found a plastic card. It was an identity card. He looked at the name. The name was Mr. Edward Harrison. Sam knew that name. Everyone knew that name. Mr. Edward Harrison was one of the richest men in the country. He owned many banks and big buildings. Sam looked at the picture on the card. Mr. Edward looked like a grandfather. He had white hair and a kind smile. He looked like a man who worked very hard all his life. Sam felt a strange feeling in his stomach. He looked at the money, then he looked at the picture. The city was expensive. Life was hard. He was hungry. But his mother always told him something when he was a little boy. She used to say, "Sam, always remember that honesty is the best policy." Chapter 3: The Internal Battle. The rain was now pouring down. Sam stood under the big oak tree, holding the wallet. He was having a big argument with himself. One part of his mind said, "Sam, take the money. Mr. Edward is very rich. He will not miss $5,000. For him, this is like $1. But for you, this is a new life. Take it and run home." But another part of his mind, a quiet and calm voice, said, "No, Sam. This money does not belong to you. It belongs to Mr. Edward. Maybe he needs it for something important. Even if he is rich, stealing is wrong. If you take this money, you will never be happy. You will always be afraid. Sam sat back down on the bench. He did not care about the rain anymore. He was thinking deeply. He thought about his empty stomach. He thought about his landlord, Mr. Mueller, who was very angry about the rent. Mr. Miller said, "Sam, if you do not pay me by Friday, you must leave." If Sam kept the money, he could stay in his room. He could be safe. But then he looked at his hands. They were clean. If he took the money, he felt like his hands would always be dirty. He looked at the address on the identity card. The address was in the Diamond District. That was a very rich part of the city, on the other side of the park. It was a long walk, a very long walk in the cold rain. Sam stood up. He put the wallet deep inside his jacket pocket. He zipped up his jacket. He felt the weight of the wallet against his chest. It felt heavy, not because of the money, but because of the decision. He started walking. He was not walking towards his home. He was walking towards the Diamond District. He decided to give it a shot. He decided to try and find Mr. Edward. He didn't know what would happen. Maybe Mr. Edward would be angry. Maybe he would call the police. But Sam knew he had to do the right thing. Chapter 4: The Journey Through the Rain. The walk to the Diamond District was not easy. Sam left the park and stepped onto the main road. The wind was blowing hard now. It pushed against his chest, making every step difficult. The rain was not just falling, it was dancing in the air, hitting the glass windows of the tall buildings with a loud sound. Sam passed by a movie theater. Many people were standing under the roof, waiting for the rain to stop. They were wearing warm coats and colorful scarves. Sam felt invisible. He was just a wet, tired young man walking in the cold. He looked at his reflection in a shop window. He looked like a ghost. His face was pale and his eyes looked tired. But when he touched the pocket of his jacket, he felt the wallet. It was a reminder of his mission. He walked past a bakery. The smell of fresh bread was everywhere. It was a warm, sweet smell. Sam's stomach made a loud noise. He was so hungry that his head started to ache. He stopped for a moment. He thought, I have $5,000 in my pocket. I can buy 10 cakes. I can buy 100 sandwiches. No one would know. Mr. Edward would never know. But then Sam shook his head. He spoke to himself in a whisper. No, Sam, stay strong. You are a good man. You are not a thief. He closed his eyes for a second, took a deep breath of the cold air, and kept walking. As he entered the Diamond District, the buildings changed. They were no longer old and gray. They were made of glass and steel. They were shining, even in the dark rain. The streetlights were bright and golden. There were expensive cars parked along the road, black cars, silver cars, cars that looked like they cost $1 million. Sam felt out of place. He felt like he did not belong here. People in expensive suits looked at him with strange eyes. They saw a wet man in a cheap jacket and they moved away. But Sam did not care. He had a job to do. He looked at the address on the ID card again, 450 Diamond Avenue. He looked at the street signs, 200, 300, 350. He was getting closer. His legs were heavy like stones. His feet were very cold inside his wet shoes, but he didn't stop. He thought about Mr. Edward. Was he at home? Was he worried about his wallet? Maybe the money was for something very important. Maybe it was for a gift or for a business deal. Sam wanted to be the one to bring the good news. Chapter 5: The Gates of the Mansion. Finally, Sam reached the address. It was not just a house, it was a mansion. It was a huge building with white walls and many large windows. There was a beautiful garden in front, even if it was covered in rain. A tall black iron gate stood between Sam and the house. Sam stood in front of the gate. He saw a small metal box with a button. He hesitated. His hand was shaking. He thought, what if they call the police? What if they think I stole the wallet and changed my mind? He almost turned around to walk away. But then he remembered. Give it a shot. He pushed the button. For a few seconds, there was silence, only the sound of the rain. Then a voice came from the box. It was a sharp, professional voice. "Yes, who is it?" Sam cleared his throat. He tried to sound confident. "My name is Sam. I found something. I found a wallet. It belongs to Mr. Edward Harrison." There was a long pause. Sam waited. He was shivering from the cold. Then the voice spoke again, but this time it sounded different. It sounded surprised. "Wait there. Do not move." A minute later, the large iron gates started to open with a slow, heavy sound. Creak. A man in a dark suit walked toward Sam. He was holding a very large black umbrella. He looked very serious. "Are you the one who found the wallet?" the man asked. "Yes," Sam said. He reached into his pocket and showed the black leather wallet. The man in the suit looked at the wallet. Then he looked at Sam. He saw Sam's wet hair and his old shoes. He saw that Sam was honest. "Please follow me," the man said. "Mr. Harrison is waiting for you inside." Sam followed the man. They walked up a wide stone path to the front door. When the door opened, Sam was amazed. He had never seen a place like this. The floor was made of white marble. It was so clean that Sam was afraid to walk on it with his wet shoes. "I'm sorry about the water," Sam whispered. "I'm making the floor wet." The man in the suit smiled for the first time. "Do not worry about the floor, Sam. Follow me to the library." They walked through a long hallway. There were paintings on the walls, beautiful pictures of mountains and oceans. There were large gold lamps that made the house feel warm and bright. Sam felt like he was in a dream. They reached two large wooden doors. The man in the suit knocked gently. "Enter," a voice said. Inside, the library were covered with thousands of books. There was a large fireplace with a bright fire burning. In front of the fire, sitting in a big leather chair, was Mr. Edward Harrison. He looked exactly like his picture, but his face looked very tired and sad. He was holding a cup of tea, but he wasn't drinking it. When he saw Sam, he stood up slowly. "Is it true?" Mr. Edward asked. "Did you find it?" Sam walked forward. He was nervous, but he felt a sense of peace. He took the wallet out and placed it on the wooden table. "I found it in the park, sir, under a bench. I saw your ID card, so I brought it here." Mr. Edward picked up the wallet. He opened it. He saw the money. He saw the cards. He didn't count the money. He just looked at Sam. "You walked all the way from the park, in this storm?" Mr. Edward asked. "Yes, sir," Sam replied. Mr. Edward looked at Sam's clothes. He saw that Sam was shivering. He saw that Sam was poor. He looked at the $5,000 in the wallet, and he knew that for a man like Sam, this money was a fortune. "Sit down, Sam," Mr. Edward said, pointing to a chair near the fire. "You are cold and wet. Let's talk." Chapter 7. The Warmth of the Fire. Sam sat on the edge of the large leather chair. It was the softest chair he had ever felt. The heat from the fireplace was wonderful. It felt like a warm hug. Slowly, the shivering in his body stopped. He looked at his hands. They were red from the cold, but they were starting to feel warm again. Mr. Edward walked over to a small table. He poured a cup of hot tea and handed it to Sam. "Drink this, Sam. It will help you," Mr. Edward said kindly. Sam took the cup. The tea was hot and smelled like lemons and honey. He took a small sip. It was delicious. He felt the warmth go down his throat and into his stomach. For a moment, he forgot that he was a poor man in a rich man's house. He felt like a human being again. Mr. Edwards sat down in the chair opposite Sam. He was holding the wallet in his hands. He looked at it for a long time without saying a word. The only sound in the room was the crackle of the wood in the fire and the tick-tock of a large grandfather clock in the corner. "Sam," Mr. Edwards said finally, "do you know what is inside this wallet?" Sam nodded. "Yes, sir. I saw the money and the cards." $5,000, Mr. Edwards said, "in cash. That is a lot of money for anyone. But I can see from your clothes and your shoes that you are going through a difficult time. Am I right?" Sam felt a bit embarrassed. He looked at his shoes. "Yes, sir. I lost my job at a bookshop 2 months ago. I have been looking for work every day, but it is hard. I haven't been able to pay my rent, and I am very hungry." Mr. Edward leaned forward. "Then why did you bring it back? You could have taken the money. You could have paid your rent. You could have bought new clothes. No one saw you find it. The park was empty. Why did you choose to walk 2 hours in the rain to give it back to me?" Sam looked Mr. Edward in the eye. "My mother always told me that money is important, but character is more important. If I took your money, I would have food in my stomach, but I would have a hole in my heart. I wanted to be able to sleep at night. I wanted to stay the man my mother raised." Mr. Edward smiled. It was a sad, tired smile. "You are a very special young man, Sam. You say that honesty is the best policy. Many people say that, but very few people actually live by it when they are hungry." Chapter 8. A Story of a Different Life. Mr. Edward stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the rain hitting the glass. "You see this house, Sam? You see the marble floors and the gold lamps? People think that because I am rich, I am happy. But today I was very unhappy. Not because I lost my wallet. I have many wallets and much more money in the bank." He turned around to face Sam. "I lost that wallet today because I was distracted. I was thinking about my business. I have thousands of people working for me. But lately, I have found that it is very hard to find someone I can trust. People lie to me. People try to steal from me. They see my money and they forget their values." Sam listened carefully. He never thought that a rich man could have such problems. "When I realized my wallet was gone," Mr. Edward continued, "I didn't care about the $5,000. I cared about the fact that I had lost my ID and some personal photos of my late wife. I thought they were gone forever. I thought the person who found the wallet would take the cash and throw the rest in the trash." He walked back to the table and picked up a small, old photograph that was tucked inside the wallet. It was a picture of a woman with a very kind face. "This is the only copy of this photo I have," he said softly. "To me, this photo is worth more than $1 million, and you brought it back to me." Sam felt a lump in his throat. "I am glad I brought it back, sir. I didn't know the photo was so important." Mr. Edwards sat back down. He looked at Sam with a very serious expression. "Sam, I am a businessman. I believe in investments. Usually I invest in buildings or stocks, but today I want to invest in something else. I want to invest in a person." Sam was confused. "What do you mean, sir?" "I am opening a new community center in the city. It will have a library, a place for children to learn, and an office to help people find jobs. I have been looking for a manager for this center. I need someone who is organized, yes, but more importantly, I need someone who is honest, someone who cares about people more than money." Sam's heart started to race. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. "I watched you on my security camera when you were at the gate. I saw you hesitate. I saw you shivering. You looked like you wanted to run away, but you stayed. You pushed the button. You chose the hard path because it was the right path." Mr. Edward took a pen and a piece of paper from his desk. He wrote something down. "I want you to come to my office tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. My assistant will give you a suit and show you your new office. The salary will be enough to pay your rent, buy good food, and save for your future." Sam stood up. His legs felt weak. "Sir, I don't know what to say. I just wanted to return your wallet." Mr. Edward walked over to Sam and put a hand on his shoulder. "You gave me back my memories, Sam. The least I can do is give you a future. Remember this, you didn't get this job because you were lucky. You got this job because you were honest. Never change." Chapter 10. The Walk Home. When Sam left the mansion, the rain had stopped. The clouds were moving away and a few stars were shining in the sky. The air felt fresh and cool. He walked back towards the park. He passed the same cafe he saw earlier. This time, he didn't feel sad. He felt a sense of pride. He reached into his pocket and felt the small card Mr. Edward had given him. It was his ticket to a new life. He arrived at the park bench where he had found the wallet. He sat down for a moment. He looked at the oak tree. Just a few hours ago, he was a man with no hope. Now, he was a manager with a purpose. He thought about his mother. He wished she was there so he could tell her, "You were right, Mom. Honesty really is the best policy." He stood up and started to jog towards his home. He wasn't tired anymore. He was full of energy. He had a lot of work to do. He had to prepare for his first day. He had to tell his landlord the good news. But most of all, he had to keep being the man with the golden heart.